28th of December 2023. This is a Warrafak moment. It's been a while since I did a Warrafak moment, but this can only be a Warrafak moment. My Skidmark that I did on patriots and terrorists are getting some interesting remarks, and I get some interesting messages. And one of the black guys that I shared it with, shared it on to another black guy, and the response from the third party was that he understands what I'm saying. And when I read to you the response, I, for example, will never find the courage to send this to a black person. Although agreeing, I just feel this generalization of blacks is a bit overboard. He could have used ANC. Malema is not the biggest reason for the country's failures. And I replied, he should rethink. The attack on whites is collective, but he wants differentiation when it comes to blacks. Fuck that. I did it on purpose. Why give blacks the luxury of differentiation and they don't return the favor? And then my correspondent responded, it's a fair argument point you make, but what good does it make? Or is it adding to the boiling pot? And my reply to that was, the clever blacks will catch the message. The dumb ones will just fume and fuck on towards the cliff. That is okay. We need those numbers to drop. So from this, and I shared it on purpose, you could get a good idea of what my attitude towards this whole fuck up is. And then I wake up this morning to this. Unfortunately, it's in Afrikaans, and I'm going to read it in Afrikaans and then I'll translate it. Ek bring ongelukkig slegte nuus. Rasta Kenosi, wat na bewering die betrokke was by die vergiftig van meer as 130 beeste oor die laaste paar jaar en ook aangekla is van poging tot moord en verskeie ander misdade, is vandag op R5.000 borg vrygelaat. Blykbaar is hy sieklik en hou nie 'n vlugrisiko in nie. Hy sal ook nie met getuies inmeng nie, dit volgens die Landros. Dit is maar weer eens 'n bewys hoe daar geen geregtigheid vir ons sal geskied in die huidige bestel nie. Die boere van Tosca omgewing sal die spreekwoordelike laar moet trek, staan sterk manne en vroue. Groetnis, T.W. Wessels. Now, roughly translated, that Rasta Kenosi that was involved with that cattle poisoning and threats on farmers and this theft of stock and that in the Tosca area, he was arrested and he got bail of R5,000, apparently, according to the judge, because he is sick and he is not a flight risk. Now let me remind you, this is the guy that has been terrorizing that area in an organized crime gang that was violent, and farmers were paying him R25,000 per month protection fees. He has wiped out the small black upcoming farmers. He has wiped them out, and he's making a lot of money from this protection fees, and they steal the cattle like hell. And the farmers, the real boere, not the fucking farmers, the real boere, banded together and put him under pressure, and eventually the police caved in and arrested him. And now you see what happens. The judge gives him bail. Now, you black guys, let's just understand something very clearly. South Africa is on the verge of total collapse administratively. Total collapse. And many people has warned that the country will land in the hands of warlords. Here is a good example. But when I warn you and other white people warn you about the shit that's going to hit the fan, you call us racists. But you will pay for that. You. Listen to Gayton McKenzie. He warns you clearly about what the immigrants are going to do to you. He also warns you about what the gangsters are going to do to you. But you call me a racist. This gang, of which the kingpin has now received bail, this guy there's charges of murder against him, but he gets bail. That should tell you that our system is so corrupt and fucked and tuned towards aiding and abetting the crime gangs that you should be very worried. But what can you expect? The top structure of the ANC is a highly sophisticated gangsters collective. You know how rampant the gangs are operating in Eskom, in road transport, in rail transport, at the harbours, everywhere. They're fucking everywhere. They're in the police force. They're everywhere. They're in the the justice system. They're everywhere. I did a Skidmark in which I explained that South Africa is going the same road as the USSR. And many people think I'm talking shit and I am on drugs. Well, I've got a surprise for you. I use the good stuff. The fact of the matter is, our country is basically already clearly, largely in the hands of criminal gangs. Some are raw, brutal, violent township gangs, and others are highly sophisticated administrative gangs. But they are all gangs. And you blacks, you better stop this racism shit. You better start listening to people that know more than what you know, that know better than what you know, that are more intelligent than what you are. There is no fucking shame to acknowledge the fact that some people in society are more clever than others. When I re-discuss this example of the birds, swallows, highly sophisticated nest builders, finches, highly sophisticated nest builders, but they weavers. The swallows build with clay, the finches weave with grass. And crows, they just bliksem a few pieces of sticks on a heap and then that's their nest. But look in the bird society. The swallows, they catch the small flying insects, mosquitoes and the likes, and they catch them on the fly. Swallows stays healthy because they only catch flying insects. They don't take dead insects that is on the floor or on the wall or on the road or what. They only catch live insects. So there is a expectation that they are actually eating healthy. But we know now with the poisons that are being used that many of these insects survive the poison, but they carry the poison in them, so they will eventually poison the swallows. The finches, they feed on seed, and they only feed on seed. Yes, they'll take a worm at an opportunity, but they specialize in the seeds. And in their process of seeding, foraging on the seeds, they drop a lot of those seeds on the ground that will sprout to be next year's grass and whatever. So they've got a function. The crows, they may have this very dilapidated, ugly nests, but they play a very vital role because they take all the dead small animals and birds and things, they pick them up wherever they find them, and they eat those things to keep the environment clean. Because if those dead birds and dead rats and dead stuff that cars has hit and so forth, if they keep accumulating in the environment, sickness will come from that, the rotting meat. So the crows keep that sickness away from the society. That crow can never build a swallow's nest. The swallow can never breed in a crow's nest because the swallow's eggs are so small it will just blossom in between the twigs and branches and it's gone. So everyone has got a role to play in the society. The clever guys are the ones that they see the problems, they explain the problems, and they come with the solutions. The less clever ones are the ones that build those solutions, that make those solutions work. Because many times those clever ones cannot build, they can't put two fucking bricks on top of one another. But he can design a hell of a good building. And it's for you, the bricklayer, that must make that dream that he, the clever guy, put on paper. You must make that dream come true in the real world. So there is nothing wrong with accepting the fact that society has got different groups in it. But you have allowed, you blacks, you have allowed stupid fucking people to tell you that you can do everything. You have got natural intelligence. You don't need to study for everything. And you fell for it. And then you get cock when a guy that has not been trained and qualified for a job designs a bridge. And then the bridge blossoms down and everybody is surprised. Why did you get the opportunity to design the bridge? Because the clever guys were kept away from the design team. Why? You have to answer that question to yourself. Because those that are planning this whole fucking society, they don't want the clever ones there. Because the clever ones will tell everybody that these oaks are busy fucking up. And that they don't want. So they isolate the clever ones, and then they start destroying their careers if those clever ones are too much of a threat. You must open your fucking eyes. Your society needs all those people. You need the swallows, the finches and the crows to be a society that succeeds. Stop this cuck of listening to people that whip you into a frenzy with racism. Stop that cuck. It's going to be your own end. The fact of the matter is, if you look around you at how our country, South Africa, has collapsed over the last 30 years, you need to be extremely worried. You need to be extremely worried. Because there is no future for anybody in that collapsed society. You must ask yourself that. This morning I saw an article, and I'm going to do a skid mark on it, in which the guy, it's an Irish guy, wrote a long article about what happened in Somalia and how the situation in Somalia is of such that the population is now huge compared to when they started struggling feeding themselves and they went on to these feeding aid programs. But those feeding aid programs allowed them to breed numbers. But the big fucking problem is the food is not enough to feed those babies properly. So those babies are mentally retarded because they didn't get enough food. So they grow up to be dumb people. Why? Triple X want those dumb people because they can direct those dumb people to do anything. I mean, they load them onto a moor of a small flimsy fucking boat and send them over the Mediterranean Sea to invade Europe. And those guys are too fucking dumb to understand that if a storm comes up, they will drown. All of them will drown. No. They only see what they're going to do in Europe. That is why Triple X want dumb people. And you must understand, in South Africa, this Sasa breeding program is a fucking time bomb that they are building in your own communities. It is that salsa generation that is going to destroy your community in totality. See it, understand it, because it is a real danger. It is a real danger. It is not something that I am sucking out of my thumb. Look at the volumes of babies born to teenagers. Who the fuck must teach those children? Who must give them skills? Who must discipline them? Think about that. And ask yourself, why the hell did you, as a community, as a society, as a black nation, how did it happen that you allowed that cock to be done to you? I'm going to tell you some of the things. First, look at your leadership. Look at that ANC top structure. And I've asked the question many times. Do that top structure represent any tribe? Think about that. They don't give a shit for the people on the ground, man. As long as they can stuff their pockets full of money and live in castles, they're happy. They don't care if you eat once a week. They don't care. Look at their bellies and you can see that one man devours more food at one meal than many families have for a week. Let that sink in. But call me a fucking racist for pointing it out. You must understand, the forces at play are more clever than you. And they have planned your destruction long ago. They're only tolerating you now because they've got plans for you. You are like the Boere used to say, cannon fodder. That's what you are. They're going to feed you to the cannons. But it's up to you. You have to make that decision. Look at the political parties. When a leader of a political party encourages illegal immigration, you must immediately go on high alert and tell your friends and family, stay away from this fucker. He's planning our demise. When a leader of a political party preaches a revolution to you, you must see the red lights. Because he is going to sit in his palace while you are going to die on the streets. Don't forget that. But everything in this world comes with choices. The big thing is this: you have the freedom of choice. But do you have the guts, the character, the integrity, and the wisdom to live with your choice? That is what you must do. Easy for a political leader to whip you into a frenzy and sing, kill the boer, kill the farmer. What you have to ask yourself is, okay, if you go and do that killing, will you be able to live with the consequences of that killing? Forget the brutality of the killing. Think of the fact that that farm is now out of production. That is less food available to the nation. Think about these things. Before, you just blindly follow people that encourages immigrants to stream into the country that will destroy you. Before you listen to a leader that calls you to a revolution in which you will be killed, not him. Think about that. Please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.